When designing the PCB, it is vital that you know where the electrical connections are and to which footprint pads they are connected to. At the same time, it is also very useful to see statistics about each individual PCB net. This is where the AutoTRAX router panel comes to your rescue. This tutorial video will demonstrate the usefulness of the router panel. To get started, here is the sample Arduino project that comes with AutoTRAX. To display the router panel, if it is not already visible, select the Panel ribbon tab. Next, click on the Root button, and the router panel will be displayed usually on the left of the PCB. This sample is fully routed. In the router panel at the top, you see some statistics for the routing of the PCB. We have the number of nets displayed, along with the number of pads, and the number of vias used. Below this is the percentage of PCB nets that are fully routed. In this case, all PCB nets are fully routed. Below that is the total track length for all PCB nets. To right of that is the efficiency figure, which is based on 100% being direct, minimized, one-to-one routing. It is very unlikely that you will ever reach 100%, but the closer you get, then the better the design. You want to minimize track length to avoid excessive signal propagation delays. Below that is a table consisting of all PCB tracks. Selecting on any row will highlight the PCB net in the PCB viewport. If I check the Zoom Selected checkbox, then when I select a net in the table, the viewport will zoom in to show the selected PCB net. If the Zoom Selected checkbox is unchecked, then the viewport's view will remain unchanged. This can be useful to see how the PCB net traverses the PCB. Clicking on the Unroute button with a PCB net selected will unrouted the entire net. Clicking on the Deselect button will deselect any PCB net in the table. I will now show you how to use the route panel to select which PCB net to route next when manually routing your PCB. To illustrate this, I will now unroute the entire PCB by selecting the Root ribbon tab and clicking on the Unroute All PCB Nets button. Now the route panel shows all the PCB nets as unrouted. As you can see, the PCB nets are sorted by length, with the longest at the top of the table and the shortest at the bottom. If I click on the length label, then the PCB nets are sorted from shortest to longest. So, if I make sure that the Zoom Selected checkbox is checked, and I click on the first shortest PCB net, the viewport shows to show the selected net. I will now quickly build this, as to be quite honest, to very easy to route. I hold down the left mouse button over one end of the unrouted net and then drag the mouse so that the mouse cursor is over an end pad, and then release the mouse. This very short PCB net is now routed. Seeing the table of PCB nets in the router panel, that the PCB net that I have just routed is now turned green to show that it is fully routed. When it comes to manually routing, some people like to start with the longest PCB net, while others prefer to start with the shortest PCB net. The choice is up to you, and to be quite honest, the jury is divided into which PCB net to choose. You will only learn which PCB net to manually route through experience. So, in practice, you select a PCB net from the list and then manually routed. Then you select another, and another until the PCBs is fully routed. In conclusion, the router panel has many features that I have not covered in this video. I suggest you open a sample project, unroute all nets, and practice your manual routing. The router panel will save you lots of time and is powerful, but is easy to learn.